what's up everybody, and welcome to my Maggot King boss guide. So in this guide, I'm going to be showing you guys the method that I've been using to kill Maggot King. As you can see, I have 1700 plus KC, and I've been making a lot of money doing this boss, so I wanted to get it out there for everyone else to see. I'm going to start with the gear and the setup that I use, and obviously you can change this any way you want, however works best for you, or what you think will work best for you. But for me, if you check out my inventory and see what I have in here, this is a perfect amount of potions and everything combined. Usually what happens toward the end of my trips is I end up running out of just about everything at the exact same time. So these work perfectly, except for the food, obviously, since I'm camping Blood Fury. But we'll start by going through the gear that we need. So you're going to have a range crossbow, and any crossbow works as long as you can use dragon ruby bolts E, and I prefer to use a vendor bow for killing the flying maggots, but you can use a web weaver or any other bow that you want to prefer or can afford. I just like the Venator because Venator can kill all four of the maggots that are spawned toward the end of the fight. For this method specifically, you are going to need 3 things guaranteed, and that's going to be your Serpentine helm, your Inoculation bracelet, and anti-venom potions. The anti-venoms combined with the Serp should fully nullify all of the poison, and the Inoculation bracelet should nullify the stat decrease from disease, and it should also remove the disease damage that you would normally take. So with this method, a few things that I want to make sure that you should have is you want to be on the Arceus spellbook so that you can cast Thralls and Death Charge, because those are going to increase your kill times by a lot. And also make sure that you have Book of the Dead so that you can use your Thralls. The good thing about the Death Charge here is Death Charge applies to each and every maggot in the boss room, so you want to be using your Death Charge all throughout the fight, and your Thralls, of course, the entire fight as well. I highly recommend a Light Bearer because this is going to increase the amount of times that you can get those Ruby Bolt specs off if you're using a Zerite crossbow. If you're not using a Zerite crossbow and you're using any other crossbow, such as Dragon or the Armadillo crossbow, both of those have decent specs, which you probably would still end up using the crossbow specs. So I would still use the Light Bearer overall in that case. All of the gear is optional and interchangeable. So in order, the Scythe would be the worst here. Elder Maul is going to be slightly better. Then you're going to have SRA and DH. DH is going to be the best is if you're keeping your health below like 35 or something like that consistently. But it also comes with the risk of dying a lot, and you probably wouldn't want to run a Blood Fury with DH. I'll leave an example toward the end of some DH kills in this setup, but I prefer the SRA, and currently, since I'm not using the SRA, Elder Maul. The most important thing about this setup is how the bracelet and the Serpentine work. So the Serpentine helm combined with the anti-venom dose is going to fully protect you from any of the poison splats, while the Inoculation bracelet itself will protect you from all of the disease splats. If you do not have one of the options when it comes to the Serp and the anti-venom, so let's say you only have the Serp or you only have the anti-venom, then the poison will still do damage to you, but it won't do as much, which really isn't that big a deal if you're using a Blood Fury, because you're ultimately going to heal all the health back in melee phase. As you can see, I've made a lot of money at this boss. So far I've made a total of 909 mil, and that's on the loot tracker, so you can also see and verify that that's how much I've made. I personally like this boss. I enjoy the fight, but the only thing I don't like about the fight is having to constantly run around the room and dodge all the splats and stuff. It seems like a lot of work for a loot table that isn't, really amazing, but also the uniques on this drop table are worth it in my opinion, because I think 1 in 300 is a very fantastic rate for any type of unique, especially if it's going for 120 mil. I can kill this thing about like 25 plus times, if not more, per hour. This is the first time that I've ever created a guide. I do plan on creating more content like this in the future. If you guys ever have any questions, you can always comment on the video, or you can find me at my Twitch channel. I'm usually streaming. I am a variety streamer, so you might catch me streaming something other than RuneScape, but feel free to stop in and ask any questions, even if it's about RuneScape and I'm not playing RuneScape at the time. I have no problem answering any of your questions. Toward the end of this kill, you're going to be able to see why I enjoyed using the Venator bow over Web Weaver or anything else. If you have the money for it, or you already own a Venator bow, I would highly recommend using it. If you don't have the money for it, or you don't want to buy one, that's fine. Web Weaver works, anything works. I mean, you can really one-tick all of them. I just prefer to be able to shoot all 4 of the maggots right here, as opposed to having to click all 4 of them. I just click 2. So now I'm going to show you an example of how it would look to do this using this method in DH. I personally prefer to keep the Inoculation bracelet and don't worry too much about a gauntlet swap, but if you're comfortable with making more swaps, you could do that as well. I just personally am not a big fan of doing an 8-way every single time. So I keep the Inoculation brace just because that way when I'm in DH, my stats aren't being lowered from disease splats if I walk in them, and I also am not losing any health from those disease splats. And as long as you have the anti-venom up still, you're only going to take like maybe 1 or 2 max damage from the poison slats on the floor. Just not a big deal when you're in DH. The trade-off to using DH would be that obviously you deal a lot more damage with a lot more risk, but it is highly doable, and the inventory would be exactly the same. Other than that, that is the end of my Maggot King boss guide. I hope that you guys liked it. I hope this helps you guys, all those people who don't really like the boss and think that it's not that great of a boss and that it's more of a pain. I do kind of feel like the mechanics on it could be a headache when you're constantly dodging. So this makes it a little bit more chill. It's actually a lot more laid back, and for the amount of effort that you put in with this method, I believe this boss is 100% worth it, especially when currently fangs are about 120 mil, so you're making really good profit if you can manage to get into doing this boss a bit more often. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope it helps.